Have you ever wondered if being the most reliable person on your team is actually slowing your team down? At first, that probably sounds backwards. After all, it's being reliable exactly what every project manager should strive for. Maybe. But what happens if you're always stepping in to help isn't strengthening your team? What if it's quietly preventing them from actually growing? Listen, if we're all being honest, just for this moment, it feels good to be needed. Needed to make a decision, needed to course correct a project, needed to jump in when someone else is overwhelmed. Maybe your technical lead is responsible for writing the UAT test case, but they tell you they're swamped since you've done the work before, you just kind of step in. At first, it feels like you're moving the project forward, but then something shifts. It actually changes because every time you take on someone else's responsibilities, something you own receives less attention. A stakeholder update gets delayed. A project risk isn't escalated. A dependency isn't followed up on. And when your deliverables aren't completed, you are the one who gets held accountable. I absolutely believe in supporting the team. There are moments when a leader should roll up their sleeves and help, but there's a difference between providing temporary support and permanently owning someone else's responsibility, because this, last time I checked, is a team, not a one-person show. Here's a reflection, family. As project managers, we're responsible for leading the team toward a successful outcome. When someone gets stuck, we naturally want to help. We remove roadblocks, we answer questions, we facilitate conversations, and sometimes yeah, we do roll up our sleeves when the situation calls for it. But over years, I've learned something that completely changed how I lead projects. Great, no. Exceptional project managers don't remove accountability from the team. They remove obstacles so the team can remain accountable. There's a big difference here. See, if I continually take over someone else's responsibilities, I might help the project today, but I'm quietly teaching the team that ownership is just optional. Real leadership isn't about carrying everyone else's workload. It's about creating an environment where people can own theirs. So here's a question. If leadership isn't about doing everyone else's work, what separates project managers who build high-performing teams from the ones who quietly and privately become the team's bottleneck? Principle number one, great leaders create ownership before they create output. One of the biggest mistakes I made early in my career was believing that the project would move faster when I solve every problem myself. I know. But in reality, the project only became more dependent on me. High-performing teams aren't built because the project manager answers all of the questions. They're built because every team understands what they own, they feel accountable for delivering it, and knows when they're supported when obstacles arise. Before you focus on getting more work completed, focus on creating ownership. Because when ownership is clear, accountability follows. And when accountability follows, the team becomes stronger. Here's a lesson, family. Creating ownership doesn't mean refusing to help your team. No, not at all. It means hoping in a way that strengthens accountability instead of replacing it. There will be moments when stepping in is necessary to protect the deadline or keep a project moving. The key is, though, making sure your support is temporary, intentional, and focus on removing obstacles rather than permanently taking over someone's responsibility. The strongest teams aren't built because the project manager does most of the work. They're built because every team member understands what they own, feels empowered to actually deliver. Here's 2 actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Tip number 1, ask before you act. Instead of immediately taking over a task, ask, what's preventing you from completing this? See, most of the time, your leadership is needed to remove obstacles, not complete the work. Tip number 2, define the finish line, not the path. Ooh, I like that, family. Because see, when you help someone in the conversation by conforming ownership, because it looks like this. I'm happy to help you today, but you're still responsible for owning this deliverable going forward. Here's my professional advice, family. Support your team whenever it's needed. Coach them whenever it's possible, because leadership isn't measured by how much work you take on. It's measured by how much ownership your team is willing to take. And I get it. The hardest person a project manager will ever have to manage is the project manager in the mirror, because every once in a while, you have to look at yourself and say, move, PM, get out the way. If you're busy, doing everyone else's job, who's doing yours? Principle number 2, move, PM, get out the way. Ooh, I like that. See, there's a time when I thought being a great project manager meant staying involved in everything, every decision, every conversation, every deliverable. If a meeting was happening, I wanted to be in. If someone was struggling, I wanted to solve it. If the deadline was slipping, well, of course, man, let me jump in. I thought I was protecting the project, but one day I realized something. I wasn't protecting the project. I was actually standing in front of it. The team couldn't move because I was involved in everything. I was trying to control the uncontrollables while neglecting the very things I was actually responsible for. I have a reflection here for you, family, because this is very important. As project managers, we don't control whether the developer writes elegant code. We don't control whether the business analyst asks every perfect question. We don't even control whether the tester catches every defect. Our responsibility, our accountability is different. We create clarity. We remove obstacles. We manage risk. We communicate effectively and efficiently. We align stakeholders. Sometimes the best thing a project manager can do is simply say, move, PM, get out the way. Here's the lesson, family. Leadership requires a discipline to stop doing the work that belongs to someone else. Every minute you spend trying to own someone else's work, responsibility is a minute you're not focused on the leadership responsibility only you can actually provide. Here's 2 tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Tip number 1, ask yourself, am I solving a problem or preventing someone else from solving it? Tip number 2, before jumping in someone else's work, ask, is this something only I can do? If the answer is no, then coach, facilitate, remove the obstacle, then you got it. Move, PM, get out the way. Here's my professional advice. The best project managers aren't remembered because they were involved in everything. They were remembered because they built an environment when everyone else could perform at their best. We've talked about ownership. We've talked about accountability. We've even told ourselves, move, PM, get out the way. But if that is that simple, why is it so hard to actually do? What if the biggest reason we struggle to let go? It isn't control at all. What if it's fear? Principle number 3, trust your team enough to let them grow. One of the hardest parts of being a project manager is accepting that your team won't always do things exactly the way you would. And that is okay. Leadership isn't about creating a team that thinks like you. It's about creating a team that's capable of thinking for themselves. Every time we step in too early, we take away an opportunity for someone else to solve the problem, make a decision, and grow in their role. Sometimes the greatest gift a leader can give a team isn't another answer. It's actually another opportunity. Here's a lesson, family. Trust isn't built by protecting people from every challenge. Trust is built by believing they're capable of overcoming the challenge. Give people room to think, room to decide, and room to grow. That's how high-performing teams are actually built. Here's 2 actual tips I'd love for you to experiment with. Tip number 1, instead of immediately giving the answer, ask, what do you recommend? Tip number 2, when someone makes a mistake, don't immediately take the work away. Ask, what happened? What did we learn? And what will we do differently next time? Here's my professional advice, Phil. The goal of leadership isn't to create a team that depends solely on you. It's to develop a team that continues to succeed because of what you've invested in them. Here's my final reflection, family. At the beginning of this episode, I asked whether being the most reliable person on your team might actually be slowing your team down. I hope by now you realize this wasn't about working less. It was about leading differently. Great project managers don't remove accountability from the team. They remove obstacles so the team can remain accountable. Leadership isn't measured by how much work you take on. It's measured by how much ownership you're willing to take. And every once in a while, the hardest part about being a project manager will ever have to manage is the project manager looking in the mirror. So next time you are tempted to solve a problem, attend a meeting, or take ownership of work that belongs to someone else, pause. Look in the mirror. Ask yourself, am I helping my team succeed or am I preventing them from growing? Because the hidden cost of being the most reliable project manager is creating a team that never learns how to succeed without you. Here's my closing thoughts, fam. The hidden cost of being the most reliable project manager isn't the extra work you take on. It's the missed opportunity for your team to grow because you never gave them the chance. Great leadership isn't about being needed for everything. It's about building a team that succeeds because of the leadership you leave behind. If you're ready to move beyond certifications and become a leader your team deserves, the Project Management Lab exists to help project managers replace uncertainty with confidence. I've included resources in the description to help you continue your journey toward becoming a project manager you want to become. And remember, sets and reps beat talent when talent doesn't do the reps. And if you're new to the episode, I go by the name ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, hey, listen, that just simply means Ed. Until next time.